Alright, here's the Savage. It's pretty much all taken apart. So now I'm just going to take this transmission apart. So I'm going to take the spur gear off. It's just a 7mm. Plate's still attached, we'll just leave it. Told you this thing was a fighter. Our little brake mod we did a couple months ago. Works pretty damn good actually. Taking these brakes off and we're not reusing them because I got a brand new set I picked up in the summer. We are, however, gonna reuse those springs. Just gonna grab this whole setup here. Little piston in here just comes out, and the little cam slides out. Take these hubs off. See how tight these ones are. What? They're 2mm? Oh, that one was actually in there. I kind of like the set screw setup the Savage has because they got these little pins right here. Okay, let's take this other one. We're not going to be reusing this hub because I got another one. Yeah, this one wasn't even tight. Look at that. The newer setup on the Savage transmission, just 3 screws and it splits in half. Oh, look at that. Screwdriver, my screwdriver's too big. What the? Okay, screws loose. Bam. And then there's these 4 screws, and in this case, it comes apart. Screws are removed. This slides in half. Oh, this is another little mod I did. Is I double bearing this side. This side there's only usually 1 bearing that goes in, but they give you room for 2. So, and they're different sizes. So why not make your stuff stronger? Support it more. See, there's this big bearing. Usually they just give you the small bearing right here. Then I just grabbed a bearing. Bam. So here's our little shaft down here. So I'm gonna clean this up and I'll show you what I do to this. Alright, now I'll show you how to take all these gears apart. So you have a bearing on each side. Have a E-clip right here. A small screwdriver in there, and then you're gonna twist it. There's our E-clip. This gear slides off. Now there's a pin Just slide it out. There, gear will fall. This is a one-way bearing, just like on the pull start, so we're going to flush that out. And here is second gear. I've stripped second gear before. It was fun getting this gear. Hopefully HPI are making more, but I did recently replace this, and it was a little bit of a jackpot to find another one. There was none anywhere. And then if you want to get this clutch off, see how this works, is when engine RPM builds up, these little things swing out. Which side is it? Yeah, right here, see? Slides out, and it grabs one of these ears that stick out, and that engages second gear. And if you guys want to take this off, there is 2 set screws. There's one that's going to be like deeper down. This one is actually to engage the tension of your little clutch in here. And basically, the looser it is, the earlier it'll engage. The tighter it is, the later it will engage. So we're not going to touch the screw. We're going to touch the screw that is more flush. It's actually kind of cool setup. It's double screwed on there, so it basically lessens the chances of it coming apart. So there's another screw down here. There we go. Make sure you Loctite them. You can see mine are Loctited because there's like all that white crust coming out. And this just simply slides out. And if you ever want to get this one-way bearing out, Princess Auto, like $5, and you get like 5 of these. So you just slide in here, and just simply, bam. Your one-way bearing comes out, and you can replace it or clean it, maintain it, whatever you want to do. I'll show you how the one-way bearing goes back in. So there's these little holes. They line up with these little nubs on this gear. So we're all lined up there. Make sure there's a little groove in here. Make sure this groove is all cleaned out. Put the snap ring in. Just gonna set it on top. Make sure you're pushing forward on the one-way bearing. Just gonna spread this apart. Put it on. If you hear a snap, you're good. And you're just gonna push down on the snap ring. Make sure it's fully seated. You'll know it's fully seated when you hear the snap, like you did earlier. We're pushing on it, and it's not snapping down any further. So that's done. Alright, as I'm putting this together, I'm going to show you guys a couple tips and tricks. So when I'm putting the cases together, I use a nice tacky grease on the halves just to kind of sort of act as a gasket. And just since this is an HPI, just for the spirit, I guess, we're going to use some HPI grease, and as you can see, nice and tacky. So we're just going to put this on the case halves. If you don't have this, you can use like red and tacky. That's what I usually use. But like I said, since this is an HPI, just for fun, we're going to use some HPI grease. It's actually really good grease. Just around the sealing surfaces. Look how tacky this stuff is. Anyway, enough playing around. So we have this all covered in grease here. Now we're going to put the cases together. What I do next is I put just a little bit of synthetic grease on these gears. Don't like drown the thing in it. I'll show you. Put like a nice light little coating. We're going to put some on just to say there's grease. I find that helps a bit. It definitely reduces the wear. So there's just a little bit. On the metal to metal gears, I do put a little bit more on, but the plastic to plastic gears, I don't really worry about it too much. Just a little bit of grease. I don't call that good. Well, it's still too much. We'll put a little more grease on the metal gear because this metal gear contacts another metal gear. Now I know there probably is some hardcore savage guy out there. No, don't buy greasing! Because I know there's lots of savage people who say that, but I do just a little bit. There, I'll call that good. I have noticed it definitely does reduce the wear of the gears a little bit. Plunk her in there. Work that grease around. Got the transmission all put together. I was gonna put the spur gear on off camera, but I figured I'd do it on camera because I feel that there's some good pointers that I could give. Okay, here's our pin. I kind of lost it, so don't be like me and lose your stuff. Be more organized than I am. You know what they always say? Do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so we got that on. Next we're going to put this on. What I like to do to get all the glazing off is I just take a piece of sandpaper and I make sure like the backside is sticky, and I just kind of sand it, and then there's going to be like a like scuffing. So I'll show you guys that. So I just have a piece of sandpaper stuck to the floor. I'm just going to take this, put it on here, and sand it in circles. See how it's all scuffed? That's going to give the slipper pads something to bite to. So once we scuff this disc, we're just going to put it on. There's these two holes that line up with these two little nubs. There they are. So here's our spur gear. Check and make sure your slipper pad's in good shape. This one is. This is a 49 tooth. Make sure you have your special washer. Not an ordinary. An ordinary washer will not work, because if you can see closely, this one has like a little hex in it. Here's our spring. Make sure that's in good shape and clean. Got our nut. So what I like to do is I like to tighten my slipper clutch as much as I can. So we're going to tighten this spur gear down as much as we can. Lots of people don't like the slipper clutch system because they just think it's garbage, but you know what? I actually kind of like the setup because the slipper clutch gives you another little tuning aid, because with the turn of a nut you can get the desired setting. Like if you have too much bite, sometimes you don't want to wheelie all the time. Sometimes you can loosen that off a little bit. Sure, you might burn up slipper pads after a while, because if you have this too loose, you'll burn up slipper pads. But this will give you the desired setting. If your savage is too crazy, back it off a little bit. Some people say, "Oh no, I'll tighten this all the way down. That's it." You could do that, but you want some slip, because if you do have a runaway and your savage takes off, instead of hitting a tree and your car keeps on going, it'll just burn the slipper pad. I don't know how much slipper pads are. I think they're $7 for a pack, but I'd rather destroy a $7 part than destroy my diffs or my spur gear or something more expensive. That's just me though. So I tighten this nut all the way down to start, then I back this off 1/4 of a turn. That's good. Spur gear's on. And if your nut keeps on backing off, and you shouldn't have to add Loctite, but say for example, you add Loctite, tighten this down, this still backs out, you need to replace your nut. Got our new hub for our brakes. So I give you Loctite and grease. If you have your own grease, just keep these. This is really good grease. The Loctite's okay, but that's an added bonus. Give you the hub. Excellent. And 2 set screws as well as a tool. You can just don't use the tool if you have decent tools already, but they give you a spare set screw with this, so that's pretty sweet. Keep your extras. Don't throw stuff away. And make sure you clean your set screws when putting them on. Put your brakes on. Just give your transmission a spin. Check out how freely it spins before you put the brake on. So then you know how much free play you had before. So that way you have a general idea of when you go to adjust your brakes, so you know you don't have too much brake applied. So we'll just take note of this. And we'll start putting the brakes on.